Hi everyone, I hope everybody's here. I can see we've got quite a few people in the room already. So kia ora from Auckland, New Zealand. My name is Jude Shelley and I'm chairing this session today in room 2, and I'm pleased to be able to introduce session number 12, Maths, Music and Mobility using the new Lego Braille bricks. And I've been really looking forward to this presentation. Now, Marie and Mark are unable to be with us today, so we're lucky enough to have Dr. Melissa Fanshawe and Tony Wu presenting for us. Melissa is a senior lecturer in the School of Education at the University of Southern Queensland, and Tony is an orthoptist and currently works at Vision Australia as the National Product and DVA Manager. Tony and Melissa, I will now hand over to you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. And thank you all for having us. We're really excited to be here with you and talk to you about the Lego Braille bricks. Now, there will be many people who have different experience so far with the Lego Braille bricks. Some of you may have been using it for a while and some of you may be new to it. So we will just explain it briefly at the beginning, but then we're going to get into some more in-depth things about it. So we've talked a lot about sort of pre-Braille and Braille skills with those who have been using it before, but today we're going to be talking about some maths, some music and some mobility. So we're very excited. Now, you have Tony and myself who will be your presenters. And we do have some slides on the screen, and we'll be making sure that you have all of the visual information that you need. And at the very end, we'll be providing some relevant links in the chat because we don't want to put that through as we're going. So all of the slides have the Vision Australia logo and a Lego Braille bricks logo. And as I said, we'll be reading and explaining all of the content on each slide. So if we can go to our next slide. So we will be making sure that you have any additional information, as I said. All right, so the Lego is a very play-based tool. So it's not designed to cancel or change any of the things that you're already using to teach Braille in your classroom and particularly pre-Braille, but it is designed to be a conceptual tool to help teach Braille to children who are blind or have low vision alongside their sighted peers. Now, we all know, Tony and I recently had the wonderful opportunity of going to Belund and going to Lego House and the Lego Centre. And we found out that there's a whole thing, and I didn't know this before, that they're called AFOLs. Now, AFOLs are adult fans of Lego. So there are adult fans of Lego, there are children fans of Lego. Everybody, well, lots of people, most people love Lego. So Lego is a really inclusive and wonderful way to be able to put Braille into our classrooms. Now, on the screen is the image of a box of Lego Braille bricks. Now, I'm also going to hold up a box of Lego Braille bricks. And one thing you'll notice about them is that they're very noisy. Lego Braille bricks box is very noisy. So there are some different ways that we can manage the Lego Braille bricks in our classroom, including putting them in little boxes where you can separate the bricks and stacking the bricks as well. So we won't talk about that today, but we will show you a site where you can get all of the hacks. Okay, so what's inside the box? Well, the box has a number of bricks, and it's based on the frequency of letters across 10 languages. And so we have, if you're in Australia and New Zealand, you'll get an English box, or you'll get a box depending on the language that the student who is learning Braille is speaking. And so in our English kit, we have 300 bricks, okay, these lovely noisy bricks. And they each have an 8 brick slot. So normally a brick of this size would have 8 pins on it, 4 going down and 2 going across to make 8 bricks. Our Lego Braille brick comprises of the top 6 of the bricks, will represent the 6 bricks of the Braille Lego, and on the bottom there is a printed letter or number showing what it represents. And the reason that it is printed on there is so that our sighted other students and other people who are interested, AFOLs, teachers, everybody else can also engage. So it's not just for our students who are blind or have low vision to be able to feel and recognise the braille, but it's also for other people to be able to engage and play as well. So there's also some simple maths and punctuation symbols. So this one here, I have a hashtag. So we have that on there. And we also have, so that's what we have. There's also 3 base plates. So you'll get base plates in there, which are grey, and they're big enough to be able to represent some letters and numbers on there. And we also have a very handy thing for the teachers who are, or the people who are playing who may not have braille knowledge and would have sight, with the a representation of the colours. So A is .1, obviously, but it is red. So if you're looking through it, you can find them. So that may be helpful for some people. Now, the colours are random. However, each letter is consistently one colour. For example, all of A's, F's are red, and all of the math symbols are white. So on the screen, there is an open box of Lego braille bricks with a child's hand reaching inside the box. So there's 5 characteristics which Lego Foundation has been really trying to make sure that they have involved in all of the activities that they're doing. And these are joy. So the play needs to be fun and have an element of surprise. Actively engaging. So we want students to be absorbed in the activity. We want it to be socially interactive, so playing with other children and other people being involved in this as well. We want it to be meaningful, so it has a meaningful connection for the child, and we also want it to be iterative. So children learn through mistakes, and through experimenting, through trial and error, they're able to learn from those. So that's the 5 really important characteristics. And as they're engaged in learning, the children or students will ebb and flow through these. Now, all 5 are not necessary all of the time, but they come and go. So on the screen, there is actually an image of 5 students. There's 4 older students and 1 younger child, and they're engaged with the Braille Lego bricks. And some of them are working by themselves, and others are sharing in the activity together. But over time, the children should experience moments of joy and surprise and a meaningful connection, and can be active and absorbed, iterative, and engaged with others. So that is the purpose and the pedagogy behind the Lego Braille bricks. Now, on the Lego Foundation, they actually have this wonderful site, which Tony will drop in the chat a little bit later, but it's got a whole website of activities and things that students can do and teachers can do with them. And they're really, really great activities. Each of them has, when they have them, I'm holding them up, but I'm also reading it out. They all have a title. They have the intent of the lesson. They have pictures showing what they can do. They have how to prepare it, facilitation tips, some possible variations, as well as how to play. And so these activities, there's over 90 activity sheets on the website that people can use and follow, and they're divided into pre-Braille and Braille activities. So in the pre-Braille, there's manipulation, there's when children discover and get used to the bricks and they learn how to handle them, assemble them, and put them on the base plate. We also have orientation. So we learn how to position the bricks on the base plate and be aware that the orientation is important and which way up the dots go is important. And then we have constellation. So that's when we start to learn about the Braille cell and how the studs are arranged in 2 columns, and we learn how to differentiate the studs with our fingers. Within Braille, we have also 3 sections. There's characters. So we learn the Braille letters, numbers and mathematical symbols and punctuation signs and how to read and write them. We have literacy, which is about assembling the characters brick by brick and play with words in order to develop the ability to read and write. And we have numeracy, which is about assembling the characters, playing with numbers, and developing the ability to do maths and geometry. Now, we have talked a little bit about maths in the numeracy activities that we do have there. But what I would like to talk to you about today is some other things that we can do with maths. So if we go forward one more slide, on that slide, there was an image of a teacher handing a brick to a student, and the student was placing them on the base plate. So moving on to our next slide, we have 3 images. The first image is of the braille that I read out before, which was about characters, literacy, and numeracy. And there's an activity here called odd and even numbers. Now, this is one of the activity sheets. And in this activity, it's a really lovely way for students to be able to develop number, where we get a bowl and we put some Lego braille bricks into the bowl and we pull them out and we make a stack for odd numbers and we make a stack for even numbers. So that is one really cool way that every student in the class would actually be able to engage and play with that odd and even numbers. So that would be really, really great for our early childhood students. Now, number is such a huge part of understanding so many parts of maths. And I teach maths at the university. That's one of my jobs. And one of the things that is most evident is that when people don't have an understanding of number and place value, that we have ones and tens and hundreds, and then we have, again with our thousands, ones and tens and hundreds, and again with our millions, we have ones and tens and hundreds. We have this pattern, and that pattern is quite visual, and we usually see it because people have a place value chart in the classroom, and when we write down numbers, we write them down in the place value chart. So there's a lot of ways that sighted people will I guess record numbers and visually see numbers. And so what the Lego Braille bricks enables us to do is to be able to create some place value charts, and we can create charts using, on the screen, there's an image of a 3D printed place value chart that somebody has made in the UK to be able to fit the Lego Braille bricks into and make the ones, tens, hundreds, ones, tens, hundreds. Or you could simply make it on your base plate by using other types of Lego. And I know in the Lego Technic kits, they have really long, skinny Legos. And so you would be able to put those down and use your base plate as actually a place value chart. So that's something that's really useful. And so Lego gives us the opportunity and I guess the potential to do something that we haven't done before. And that's the ability to manipulate numbers by moving them around in the place value, and to add numbers and to subtract numbers. And I know over the years, many teachers have actually made homemade resources to do this. But I guess the benefit of Lego is that it's in a format that is cool and it's inclusive. And also students can rub it out and change it with a whiteboard. Now, one of the other parts, so moving into algebra and this ability to actually move things around, is I've watched students as they've tried to do algebra, particularly in secondary schools. And they've tried to, there's this algebraic equation, and the student has had to put, like, it's in, usually we use a Perkins braille for that because we're, wanting the input and then the output. And then one number changes and they have to re-input it all into the Perkins braille, and it just takes so much time. Well, I suggest to you, what if we could have, with our Lego braille bricks, 2x equals 6, and we can show our students how, if we move it over to the other side of the equal sign, we can do the same to the other, or we can divide it by one number, we can divide it to the other. So we can use those Lego braille bricks to be to move them around, and for students to be able to have that same opportunity that other students would be able to do either through writing or by using other bricks. So that's one real benefit. Now, with space, we can use Lego Braille bricks to fill shapes and to be able to create shapes and feel them and understand what they are. And we can, but I would like to show you today a little activity with statistics and probability. So I'm just going to move my camera down. And while I'm moving my camera down and just making sure that I will be able to have that in view, and don't worry, I will describe what I'm going to be doing. On the left of your screen, you will have a base plate, and on the right of the screen is actually a black mouse pad. And I use this mouse pad frequently because it's very good for contrast. By the way, there is a lady called Sue in the UK, and she had a podcast with Mark and Marie on number, and it was about place value. So if you do have the opportunity and you're very interested, it would be really wonderful to listen to. Now, this is an activity that I had to do in my grade 6 class. So the grade 6 activity was, it was about knowing if about the actual frequency of probability and the expected frequency of probability. So we were flipping coins and looking at the actual probability of heads and tails. So that was all fine. But because I used a dot on one side of the coin, but then we were coming to this activity where the students were actually opening up a packet of Skittles or M&Ms, and they were doing a graph activity where we poured out the Skittles, and then the students had to sort them by colour. So in my packet, I had 3 green and I had 4 red. And so I made those into a makeshift graph, on my mouse pad. And that's what the students in the class were doing. But I had a student who had low vision in the classroom, and so it was not an appropriate activity because, or actually this person had no vision because they weren't able to see a little bit of vision, but they weren't able to see the colours of the M&Ms. So what I did instead was get some Lego Braille bricks, and I opened the packet beforehand, and I was able to replicate the colours that they had. So when the other students had bags of Skittles, I actually made quite a few of these bags. Actually, some students chose to have the Lego and some students chose to have the Skittles. I don't know, on my screen, the bag that I actually used for this is a fruit and vegetable bag that I got from Coles, which is supposed to put fruit and veggies in, but I actually find it really handy for my Lego Braille bricks. Okay. And I've just poured them all out onto my base plate, but some students will just pull out one at a time. And as they got it, they felt what they had, and they had, that was a Y for yellow. This one here is a G for green. So I'm going to make that into a graph. And so what the students would do is they would pick it up, they would work it out, and then they created a graph that's an O for orange, and this one is a B for, I don't know, it might be blue, it might be brown, but it's a B, and it doesn't really matter because my student can't see colors anyway. So it's just a random letter that came out. We have another R, and so we have another R, and we have another R. Oh, wow, that's a lot of R's. We have a G, we have a Y, and we have another O. So my student was then able to tell me that there were 2 that had the same, which was G and Y, and that R had the most and that B had the least. So that was one way that we were able to engage in both probability and statistics, and to be able to do an activity using the Lego Braille bricks. So they really enjoyed that, had lots of fun. And I think that's a really great way to be able to use them for maths. So let me move on because I've only got a few more moments. Now, music. Oh, wow. where would we be without music? And I really loved Wendy's presentation yesterday about music and how important it is for our students. And so what we had here was there was some really wonderful ways. In music, it's really important for 4 things: to be exploring and responding, to be developing practice and skills, and to be creating and making, and to be presenting and performing. So exploring and responding is relatively easy. Students can explore and respond listen to different music. But when it comes to creating and making, again, Lego Braille Bricks has provided a way for students to be able to make and to change and to take away, and they can start developing some music songs. So up the top of the screen, there is a representation, which is actually from a wonderful video that Catherine Lanita from Lens presented with Mark and Marie. And it was where they were talking about how you can use the Lego Braille Bricks to represent notes or on there, so C, D, E, F, G. And they used the Lego Braille Bricks to make Old MacDonald had a farm. And so they used that, and the student was actually able to read out the notes. So that was really, really fun. They could make their own and they could read it out or play it. It was also used to show how long the music notes were. So obviously there's different beats and the different rhythms, like we have tars and TTs and ticka-tickas, we call them here in Australia. Crotchets and half crotchets, I guess, and quarter crotchets would be a better way, or quarter quavers, anyway, would be a better way of saying that. But so there is an image where they have stacked the Lego. So if it's stacked into 3, it's going to be 3 beats. They've stacked it into 1 with the note is 1 note. Stacked it into 4 will be 4 beats. Stacked it into 3 is 3 beats, and 1 is 1 beat, and 4 is 4 beats. So it was how long they were actually going to sing that note. And I thought that was a really wonderful way for children to be able to create and make music using the Lego Braille Bricks. So again, please jump on and have a look at that. That would be just wonderful for you. So moving on to mobility. So with mobility, again, and I'm not an O&M, I'm not trained O&M, but I was, again, really, if you'd like some more information, please do hop on to, again, Mark and Marie. They have a presentation about orientation and mobility and the really cool things that you can do. But what they were looking at is the capability and readiness to learn in the environment as a skill for our students. And some of the things that they were creating is they were using the Lego Braille Bricks, firstly, to create concepts of left and right. So they were putting, R on the word right on the right, or an R on the right, and an L on the left, or an U for up at the top and a D for down. So they were thinking about positional words and using the frame to be able to have that tactile experience on the board, as well as rather than just listen and hear. And we know in children's development, if they can start off doing real life things, so if they can actually stand in a classroom and move to the right, that's really, really valuable. And then they move down to that representation. So the representation would be here on the Lego Braille Bricks pad with the Lego Braille Bricks. And then it becomes more abstract when you just say left or right, because that actually has no representation or real life meaning. So it's that structure and that way of scaffolding learning to come from the abstract, to be able to understand that abstract is to come from real life to this representational and then to the abstract. So that was really, really great. The other thing that they used the Lego Braille Bricks for was to make a little classroom and a representation of the classroom. And of course, you could do that with any Lego, but the Lego Braille Bricks was having people's names on it and representing different things. So like a D for door, for example, and labeling the things using those representations. And another label was for the braille, for the canes, where your cane's going to hang, and they actually use the person's first name. So, for example, they had an L for L's cane, an E for E's cane, a G for G's cane, etc., hanging on the door, and that's how they use labels. Now, I've only got a few more moments. But the Lego Foundation, as well as Mark and Marie and Vision Australia, really strongly encourage you to become actively involved in the Braille Bricks community. So there are a number of places that you can go to actually get support and to find out more information. So firstly, there is a Lego Braille Bricks site. So you can just Google Lego Braille Bricks, and Tony can put some in the chat in a moment. So that is really helpful. There is also a Facebook site about the Lego Braille Bricks community, and people usually share some really cool ideas that they do. So that's really fun. And you can share what's happening with your students and peers if you're using it. So, and I probably should have videoed when I did the Lego Braille Bricks activity with the students in my classroom for the probability, but I guess I can do that again. And you might come up with new ways to use the bricks, and we really encourage you to share these on the community. So that's some places that you can go, and hopefully they'll help to inspire you. So you know, you can, as I said, you can go on to the Lego Braille Bricks site, but there's also another place called the Lego 6 Bricks community. And although that's not about Lego Braille Bricks, it's about some really cool ways to use Lego in your classroom. And we can then add in our Lego Braille Bricks and be very inclusive. And also, did you know, just FYI, that you can actually get the audio instructions for all of the Lego kits on the Lego website. So all of our students can actually log on, and we can find that. That's legoaudioinstructions.com. Okay. Also, the Vision Australia website is a really great place. You can go onto the Vision Australia website, and you can just Google Lego Braille Bricks, and you can, if you haven't got a kit yet and you'd like to request a kit, you're eligible for a kit if you're, Tony, if you're working with a student who, I'm over to you for eligibility.
Sure. So if you have a student who is at least 4 years old and learning Braille, whether it's in a school setting or a clinical setting or a home setting, if it's homeschooled, you are eligible to receive a kit. I'm a little bit behind in sifting through all the requests that come through to me, so please be patient. And I will get to your request as soon as I can. But I have a dedicated web page on Lego Braille Bricks on Vision Australia's new web page. There is a dedicated section on the main page. I requested that to be done, so you can find information on the Lego Braille Bricks quite easily.
Perfect. And Tony, you're going to pop some things in the chat in just a moment, or you can even start doing those now. But if you go to, we have a slide which says have fun, which is made out of Lego Braille Bricks. You can send any messages you'd like to. And then on our final page, we're thanking you. There's a picture of Tony and myself with a little Lego man in front of a Lego Braille Bricks banner. And there is the email address for Tony Wu, which is tony.wu@visionaustralia.org, and myself, melissa.fanshaw@usq.edu.au. If you do have any questions about getting Lego Braille Bricks, then it is Tony. If you have any training requests, or you would like to hear more about how you can use it in your classrooms, then please do contact me. One last thing is, at the moment, John Ravenscroft, who will be our keynote speaker tomorrow, is actually doing a survey about Lego Braille Bricks and how you think about Braille. So Tony can drop the chat for that in as well. No, Tony can drop the link for that into the chat as well. And then you will be able to, at some time in your, if you don't mind, going through that survey for John, because that will be really helpful for the development. So I noticed that Jude's put her screen back on, which means time is up. So, but hopefully Tony will be able to stay on with me and share my next one, or Nick might be able to.
Thank you
Yes, I
so
can.
much. Oh, sorry, Tony. You're all good to
Uh,
do that? That'll be
uh,
fantastic.
yes, I can.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Melissa and Tony. Oh my gosh, I just want to get my hands on one of those kits and have a good play around now. And I know we've got them in New Zealand and there are people using them here. They are absolutely fantastic. What a wonderful, interesting and innovative way of using all these fantastic, this fantastic resource. And I'm sure there'll be quite a few people now after this presentation will be wanting to get their hands on a kit if they haven't already. And Tony, I noticed you've put the links in the chat there. So if everybody, you can grab those now before you go. And now we will be moving on to our next session. So thank you, Melissa and Tony. I think, Melissa, you're going again on the next